So in this demo, I'll be talking about a API call to a LLM for schema detection using structured output. So we need to get the output in a JSON structure so it can be used in an automated workflow. API call to a AI LLM from within Excel. Now that's a very powerful feature because it allows a AI enabled Excel or AI enabled Excel wings as well as allowing you to connect to a backend agent in case you want to trigger of a task. It's an API key I am exposing here. This is a temporary key which I'll be deleting. I am exposing here. It's not a good idea to expose it here. Based on your use case, keep it securely or update it on the fly. So let's take this this table now. I will just start running it. So I'm going to say perform analyze table schema with Gemini. I've kept OpenAI code also. So here we get the call from Gemini. So what it has done is it has taken the first sample rows from here, sent it to Gemini and asked it, okay, please send me back data in so and so format, exactly the format that I need for my next workflow. So I need to please tell me which are the categorical variables here and which are the numeric variables here, and any junk variable, customer ID, serial number, remove it. So now I have received that in this format, which can directly go into the next stage. And I also asked it to send me the column names, PostgreSQL type. This is not being used, but I'm just showing as an example here, and a brief description of what the data contains in one line. So I will say now perform EDA. So now it is performing a exploratory data analysis. So now it is picking up this table, whatever table name I have given, it is taking up these variables and it is creating these distributions for numeric. It is identified the numeric variables. For numeric variables, it will be creating this extended descriptive statistic, and for categorical variable, it will be creating the distributions, right? So in this case, and then there are plots. There are different kind of plots that you can make. The formatting can be improved. I will share an example by one gentleman called Sylvia. Very excellent dashboards that he has prepared. I have used some of the learning from there to at least format this so that it looks a little decent. So behind the scenes, what's happening is this. So starting analyze table schema. So first of all, this is the sample data preview, this is sample data which is being sent to the API. Then the first API response for variable classification API. This is the response we got in this format. JSON format like this one is very easy and very flexible to pick up in automated processing, displaying it, pulling it out, parsing it, and then displaying it properly here, and then passing it as a parameter for the next in the EDA, in the perform EDA. The parameter is taken from here. I have kept it as a two-step process. Why? In case you want to change something. Now you can do the same thing, exactly same thing I have also done with OpenAI also as an extra. So the code patch is available. Sometimes you might want to do multiple API call to validate. By the way, I am getting better results with Gemini than OpenAI GPT-4. Here you can give the model name, you can give the latest Gemini model if you want to use it. Now before we go ahead, keep in mind all this can be done within Python also. In fact, before AI came, we were doing this in Python, but it is still challenging. Depending on the data type, there are mixed data types, some scientific notation, odd kind of characters, date formats are different. So there was a challenge, but we were getting great results here. It is not a easy. I won't say it is easy because there is a lot of iteration which is required to get that schema right and do the validations. And this schema detection I am using for a couple of use cases. One of them is where I need to upload a file to a backend Postgres or a MySQL database. And the second use case is data cleaning of mutual fund disclosure data. So mutual fund schemes, they share their monthly disclosure, and there's a small variations. Making an API call to an LLM or AI from Excel wings or inside Excel, it's a very powerful feature and functionality. Getting the output back as a structured output. Schema detection for any kind of automation like the ones which I have shown. You might want to connect to a web for some research project where the data has to be put into some format or in some table. You can get it in structured output and then populate your Excel table. Web scraping, where web scraping which we are doing in Python, it can be, I typically web scraping I use Google Sheets, but now you can do it here and directly pick up the URLs from a sheet and update a sheet directly. Here you can also make an API call to a backend AI agent. So your Excel, you can have a agentic framework linked to an Excel if so required, especially for executions. If you want to shoot off an email, database updates, depends on the use case. Excel you can give as a UI, for text to SQL. Backend is a database. Especially sentiment analysis is you have something in Excel. Simply in these two cases, this is where I use AI and LLMs for schema detection and web scraping pretty extensively. A very large number of use cases. Okay, now let's look at where you can get the API key. Simplest and easiest to start off with is Google. Go to Google AI Studio. It is free. They have a huge free tier, so you don't have to put any credit card and nothing. So you go to aistudio.google.com. You will get something like this. You just say API key, and Here you can just create a API key here. You don't even need to create a project. They would have created one generic project for you here. So just choose this project, create API key in the existing project, and you will get the. And for OpenAI, you need to go to platform.openai.com and then click on the settings, and then in the API key, and then you create a you have an option of creating projects, and then you create a new key, and you can give your key some name. You can select the project that you want, create a new project, and then create the key. Keep in mind you need to put at least a $5 recharge is there. Minimum $5 has to be put. The Google API key is free to use, so you can just start right. So I want to show you another workbook. This is not what I have prepared. So this is an automation done by a gentleman called Franco Silvia. I'll share the links here. You might want to follow him. And there is a YouTube video also along with the code. In this, he is running a Monte Carlo simulation with Excel wings. So if you go here, you will be able to see the code also in statistical processes, updating the result here. See, the important part is great, an excellent example of running statistical processes, updating the result. And look at the formatting, absolutely nice, clean formatting. So all the charts are here, and then there are another set of charts which are here, absolutely nicely formatted charts in a dashboard kind of a format. Now let's look at behind the scenes, some code walkthrough or some important piece. Rest of it is very straightforward Python code. Where are we making the API call? So API call is being made here, right? This is the API URL. So all this comes from the Google documentation. API docs, then you have the structured output, and keep in mind you have the option of using either the Python, will use the Python package, the GenAI package of Google, or generally, I just prefer to use the REST API, the direct API endpoint. So in here it provides that this is supply a schema through model configuration. So here the documents are there, you just copy paste this document and you have to follow this document. It is just easier to just share this document with a LLM or a AI coder along with your requirements, and then you get the code and you test it out. Right. Same thing for API, OpenAI, they have got their own SDK also, and their extensive documentations are there. In the last video for making a web API call, I was using PyFetch, which is pyodide native wrapper over the JavaScript fetch, which is also async, which means you can run concurrent processes. One call is going through, one call is waiting, then the second call will run through. But in most cases, synchronous processing like this will work. Here it is required. Important part is the first payload and the second payload. Payload is what we are sending it out. So for schema detection, I am sending out a prompt. There is a prompt. In both cases, I am sending out a prompt along with that this is the JSON schema. Let's look at the prompt. So the prompt here, for the first prompt, I am saying that analyze these rows, and I am adding the rows here. And then I am saying your task is to identify categorical and numerical variable, exclude ID columns, meaningless number, categorical, numeral. I am also specifying the JSON format in the prompt additionally. Now for the second call, again, I am specified the instructions, use some specific instructions. JSON format, it follows pretty well. Now structured output, wherever you are giving this kind of a JSON format, it just follows it very well, but sometimes you might get odd results. So in which case you might want to look at your JSON format or the format that you are requesting a result, as well as the prompt. So now in this code, rest of the once you get the JSON response, then I'm just parsing it and passing it either to display it, push that into the sheet, for the next level of processing. Okay, so here is the API call for OpenAI. Everything remains the same. The payload and the prompt and all remain the same here. So here I am using HTTPX, which is again Excel wings and pyodide. It supports many packages. So whatever you are comfortable, you can use. And I'm sending the same format. This is the URL, and this based on the documentation. For AIs and LLMs, you also have the option of using their SDKs, right? You can use that. I tend to prefer using the direct HTTP request to their endpoints. Also here when I was trying out OpenAI and Gemini SDK here, but I ran into I wanted to just show it how you can use it, but I ran into some issues. Here, so I dropped it, because straightforward, I anyway prefer straightforward API request. And once you have got the data and pushed in that sheet, now EDA and all, I won't go into detail here. I've already covered this piece in my previous video, but there I was hard coding the variable. So now we are not hard coding the variable. The variables are being picked up from categorical variables are picked up from here, and the numeric variables are being picked up from here.